And good evening, this is Meteorologist John Jurgens here with an update on the severe weather situation ongoing across northern Illinois at this point. So we are live on WREX.com. You can also watch us on the 13 News app. That has a link to the live stream. We're also live on our YouTube page. So multiple ways here to get our coverage here. So we'll be on here for about the next 20 minutes or so, and then we'll have our broadcast here at the top of the hour on 13 News at 6. But the big story, I think the biggest warning that we have right now is this flash flood warning for much of northern Winnebago County. So this is the north side of Rockford, areas north of State Street, and it looks like we may have a brand new flood watch. So let's just take a look at this. So this will be a flood watch, and I would assume this would encompass many counties across our area. And that went away for some reason. So let's try and get that back here. So give me just 1 second. I got to kind of do this the backwards way because I think I got rid of it because I probably just hit the wrong button, which does not surprise me in the slightest. Okay, so the flashing green counties here that you're seeing here, this is a brand new flood watch. So this is to highlight the area that we're most likely going to see flooding here. And I would imagine this is going to be over a pretty extended period of time. Let me take a look at the text of this. This is through Friday morning. Okay, so Winnebago, Boone, McHenry, Ogle, Lee, DeKalb counties. This is where we have a flood watch in place through tomorrow morning. We have a more urgent situation going on across northern Winnebago County. So I want to touch on this briefly. Just regionally across northern Illinois, we are seeing a likelihood of flash flooding through tonight. We're going to be seeing back-building thunderstorms through tonight that may lead to flash flooding, could lead to potentially creeks and streams rising out of their banks. So if you live around one of an area creek or stream, you want to watch that carefully. When we see these thunderstorms kind of what we call training, kind of like trains on a track moving over the same areas, that's what we may see today. We also see urban areas, poor drainage areas flooding tonight. Underpasses may also flood as well, those typical flood-prone areas. So that's regionally across northern Illinois. But now I want to emphasize on this bright green polygon here, that's that flash flood warning that extends from Durand and Pecatonica on east through the north side of Rockford into Loves Park, McChesney Park, Rockton, and Roscoe. Also into northern Boone County along Route 173 to include Argyle, Caledonia, Poplar Grove, Timber Lane, Candlewick Lake under this flash flood warning until 9 p.m. That's where we're seeing the near-term threat for flash flooding. I've already gotten reports of flooding on Forest Hills Road in Loves Park. I would imagine there are many flood-prone areas in Loves Park and McChesney Park. So if you do see a flooded roadway and you're driving, turn around, don't drown. That is the biggest thing to watch out for here over the next few days. And if you need to, move to higher ground. If you haven't seen any storms yet, you're likely going to here, likely tonight, but also into tomorrow night as well. So it'd be a good idea if you have any valuables in your basement that you want to keep safe, bring them up. Bring them upstairs. Just avoid any kind of damage here. Just don't take the risk, right? That's why we say turn around, don't drown, and just take these steps now before it becomes an urgent situation like it could be heading into tonight. Then looking at the severe thunderstorm warnings. So it looks like the severe thunderstorm warning for most of the city of Rockford has been trimmed away. That was going to expire at 5:45. I think the National Weather Service just kind of just trimmed it out. So the main severe threat at this point is including southeastern Winnebago County, including Cherry Valley, and then most of Boone County as of this point. So I'll put up the radar here, and you can see where we have the heaviest thunderstorm activity pushing through the city of Belvidere at this point. So we could see some minor flooding going on in Belvidere right now, but the heaviest of the rain has so far been focused just to the north of Belvidere, near that Route 173 corridor. Could be having some pretty strong wind gusts pushing through Belvidere at this point, along with that torrential rainfall that will be pushing into Garden Prairie here in the next few minutes, in about the next 10 minutes or so, at least the strongest of those wind gusts associated with that storm. Thankfully, we've seen the rainfall rates coming down across much of the city of Rockford, especially the northeast side. We are seeing one little cell that has just bubbled up, but most of the rest of the activity is so far holding off just to the north near Route 173 here, and that extends to Latham Road out here in rural Winnebago County. So far, staying north of Winnebago, south of Durand, south of Sherland. This is Route 75 up here. And this is Kilburn Avenue becomes Trask Bridge Avenue, or Trask Bridge Road across Winnebago County. So that's where we're seeing the heaviest of the rain right now. And unfortunately, we are continuing to see storms developing across eastern Stevenson County. So we're seeing this back building, which is why we're seeing that elevated flood threat across northern Winnebago County, which is why that flash flood warning has been issued for north side of Rockford up towards the parks and into Roscoe and Rockton. That's really the highest near-term threat for flooding at this point. The other severe storm that we are watching is across southwestern DeKalb County, far southeastern Lee County. This is now pushing into northern LaSalle County here, so I would suspect that the bulk of the severe weather threat with this storm in particular will be pushing to the south of our area probably by the top of the hour. So that'll be at least some good news that we can kind of get that storm on out of here, and thankfully not seeing any back building with that cell either. What we are seeing, though, is that more storms are developing across eastern Iowa. And this is what I was watching out for. Really, over the last 24 hours, we saw this trend starting to develop, and it looks like that's what's coming to fruition, is that we'll see extended rounds of storms into late tonight, which would just fuel a flash flood threat late tonight into early tomorrow morning. So it is going to be very important, if you need to be out and about late tonight, that you really take that flood threat seriously and turn around, don't drown. If you see a flooded area, just go around. Find a different way through that area, because you just do not want to take that risk, especially at night, because it's darn near impossible to see just how deep those flood waters are. So, outlining the severe storm risk. Tonight, it's only a 1 out of 5, but as you can tell, we have active severe thunderstorms ongoing right now. Damaging winds and hail remain the primary threats. A brief tornado remains possible. I think that threat is just about subsiding here, and I'll cross my fingers when I say that. Severe thunderstorm warning just issued now. This will include McHenry County. Okay, so this is that with those strong winds that were pushing into the city of Belvidere and eventually towards Garden Prairie. The National Weather Service extending a severe thunderstorm warning into McHenry County until 6:45. So this will include places like Marengo, Woodstock, and Huntley until 6:45. The main threat there being damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour into southwestern McHenry County. So again, that severe thunderstorm warning is your call to action. If you are under any severe thunderstorm warning, you want to move inside, away from the windows, especially when we're talking about the hail threat and also the wind threat. Those winds could take down tree branches, could take down power lines. So be prepared for potential power outages, and also be ready for flooding rainfall. Again, want to emphasize that, especially where we're seeing these training thunderstorms over the rest of this evening, I should say. So there you can see, that's why we have this active severe thunderstorm warning across McHenry County. You see that cell pushing eastward slowly out of Boone County into McHenry County here. That's that threat heading into McHenry County. So again, detailing that severe storm risk for today. Then tomorrow, we are also seeing a threat for severe weather in the afternoon and evening. Tonight is not the only night that we're dealing with this. Tomorrow, we will have many dry hours through the day, especially the morning and the early afternoon tomorrow. Late afternoon into the evening, kind of a similar story to today, where we see another wave of thunderstorms that may move in. Damaging winds and hail, again, the primary threats. Brief tornadoes also possible. The biggest threat that I want to emphasize, especially since we're talking about flooding now, as we get some dry time, we'll see any kind of floodwaters recede tomorrow morning, but it won't take much to see the floods returning in these flood-prone areas tomorrow, once we're done with our deluge tonight. So want to emphasize again the threat for flash flooding with those renewed storms tomorrow afternoon and evening. So looking at future track, it's not really getting the current conditions right now exactly right, but it's getting the idea. We're getting these storms pushing in now, and we'll see back building with more of those storms developing across eastern Iowa. Those will be moving through really over the rest of the evening. There's that threat for localized flash flooding in these flood-prone areas through tonight. We see that kind of tapering off. It becomes more isolated by sunrise tomorrow, and we'll see that activity eventually tapering off, hopefully not too long after sunrise tomorrow. We do get, like I mentioned earlier, we get many dry hours tomorrow. If we get into sunshine, that's when I really begin to emphasize that risk for severe weather, as that'll help the atmospheric battery just kind of recharge, right? We get that instability to build back up for a new round of strong to severe thunderstorms, again, carrying that risk of strong winds, large hail, and again, that flooding threat, especially as future track shows that we may see some more back building. There's just so much moisture in the air that, when these storms come in, that's kind of like taking a wet towel and just wringing it out. That's what these storms do. They wring out all that moisture in the atmosphere, and it's a very efficient environment to see these very high rainfall rates, and that's why we are really emphasizing that risk for flooding. We'll see that activity tapering off once again Friday night. Saturday, the storm chances are a bit iffy. It's going to depend on the timing of a cold front. As that pushes east out of the area behind the front, any kind of rain threat is over. I have a feeling that any kind of storm threat would be mainly east of I-39, and it may even be farther east than that. So Saturday, storm chances lower, but the main threat for any kind of storms would be east of I-39. A low severe risk there, but again, we would have to watch out for that flood risk once again. Here's a look at the rainfall through Saturday. You can see now this is raw model data here, so I just wanted to summarize that we're expecting around an inch overall across the area. An inch of rain is a pretty good bet. But where we see the training thunderstorms, like what we're seeing across Winnebago County, 3 inches or more of rainfall is possible and may even be higher than that. So that's why we really want to emphasize that flash flooding risk. And I know flash flooding has been a major topic here over the last week or so with the tragedy that happened in Texas. And the flooding that we see across our area, not quite the same. We're not expecting the big walls of water along the area rivers. You need 20 inches of rain like they saw in Texas last week. What we're talking about here in terms of flash flooding primarily is urban flooding. So like the city of Rockford, you have Keith Creek, Kent Creek can flood a lot, and other areas as well. I mean, your community, where you see ponding water under these thunderstorms. We may see some pretty intense flash flooding here and with that kind of activity. The rural areas, they can sneak up on you if you're driving in the country. So you really want to take this threat seriously. So if you are planning to drive, remember, turn around, don't drown. I will keep on saying it, and I don't care how many times I say it. Turn around, don't drown. That's the biggest thing. You just do not want to take that risk. Remember last year, it's around this time last year when we had a fatal flash flood on the southeast side of Rockford, right on Charles Street. That's that classic area where we see flooding. Right now, the main flash flood threat is across the north side of Rockford instead of the south side of Rockford, but nonetheless, this is very important information here just across McChesney Park, Loves Park, and towards Rockton and Roscoe. That's where we're seeing that major flood threat right now. It only takes about 12 inches of moving water to make you lose control of your car. So that's why, especially at night, just don't take the risk. You have no idea how much water there is under those, in those flood waters. You just don't know how much water there is under there. So just do not take the risk when we're talking about these flood threats heading into tonight. And then, like I mentioned before, if you have any kind of valuables in your basement, you just want to bring them up. Just, don't take the risk. Again, these are all things that you can do. Just avoid the risks here when it comes to the flooding. We just really don't need to risk it here, because in these kinds of situations here, when we're talking about 3+ inches of rain over the course of a very short period of time, we see that flash flooding becoming an urgent threat very quickly, a particularly dangerous threat. So that's why I really want to emphasize that take this flash flooding threat seriously over the course of tonight, and then also again heading into tomorrow. So let's get back to the active severe thunderstorm warnings that we have across. So Winnebago County trimmed out of the severe thunderstorm warning. That storm continues to push off to the east. The severe threat is entirely confined to southeastern Boone County, Belvedere, Garden Prairie. It's now pushing into southwestern McHenry County, so Marengo. Areas as far to the east as Woodstock through about 6:30, and then also areas closer to Huntley, closer towards 6:30. That's where we have that active severe thunderstorm warning for quarter-size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. We continue to see that severe thunderstorm warning for far southeastern Lee County, south of Paw Paw, and also for far southwestern DeKalb County. That is in place until 6:15, and that threat will be pushing into northern LaSalle County here as we head towards the top of the hour. So here's a look at the northern storm. So Boone County here, McHenry County here, where we see the main severe threat now pushing into McHenry County. So I believe that I can confidently say that as we head towards the top of the hour, we may be seeing that severe threat clearing out of Boone County. The main thing that I'm going to be watching out for now is the flash flooding threat across northern Winnebago County. When you see a setup just like this, where you just have storms that are building up across northeastern Stevenson County and just moving over these same areas, that's when you really watch out for that flash flooding threat. I have not seen any new reports in from the National Weather Service. That's what I'm looking at down here. We had a report of ping pong ball size hail in McChesney Park at about 5:10. That's when that storm really pulsed up over Rock Cut. We saw that just before 5 o'clock. We were starting to see that cell pulse up over the east side of Rockford into Loves Park. It looks like that produced about quarter-size hail near Rock Valley College, and it appears some ping pong ball size hail over McChesney Park. No other updates that I've seen. Oh, wow. All right, this just came in. 2.62 inches of rain just east of McChesney Park fell within 1 hour. So that's a little more than 2.5 inches of rain in 1 hour. We're talking just east of McChesney Park, right? That's right here. There's still heavy rain falling, and there's more behind it. So that's why we really emphasize that there is an active flash flood situation across northern Winnebago County. When you see rainfall rates like that, that's when alarm bells start ringing. So northern Winnebago County, northern Boone County, along Route 173, Caledonia, Poplar Grove. Really take this threat seriously when it comes to the flash flooding threat as we head into, especially as we head into the nighttime hours. Because like I mentioned, it's almost impossible just to see how high the flood waters are. And like I said, it only takes about 12 inches of running water and you lose control of your car, right? So that's why we really emphasize to just take this flooding threat seriously and make sure if you don't have to drive tonight, especially across northern Winnebago County, it would be probably a better idea just not to. But if you have to, again, I'm going to say it again like I've said it plenty of times so far this afternoon and evening. Turn around, don't drown when you encounter any kind of flooded roadways. So we'll take one last look at the big picture here, and we'll look off towards the west because, as you can see, more storms are developing, and even looks like a tornado-warned storm just to the west of Dubuque. So we'll be watching for these thunderstorms carefully for that added severe weather threat that you can see across eastern Iowa. We'll be watching out for that severe threat and then also for renewed flooding, because this is, under these thunderstorms here, they're also just torrential downpours too. So we have to watch out for that. That will be an extended threat through tonight. And then again, I want to emphasize, this is just night one. We have night two tomorrow, where we're also watching out for a severe weather threat and the threats for flash flooding as well. So it is 5:55 right now. So I'll wrap things up here, and we'll have our broadcast here at the top of the hour on 13 News at 6. So make sure to stay tuned for that. And of course, if we have any new developments, we'll be back here on streaming as the conditions warrant. But for now, we'll jump off of here, and I'll see you here at the top of the hour at 6.